everyone, it's Elizabeth from Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today I'm going to give you my November 2024 astrological forecast. I'm going to start off with an introduction and then I'll go into each of the ascendants and or sun signs you pick, maybe listening to both. So this month in November 2024, we have a new moon in Scorpio, a full moon in Taurus. And we have a Mercury retrograde. So let's get into it. So what stood out for me for this new moon in Scorpio? First of all, the new moon in Scorpio is at 9 Scorpio, 35 minutes on the 1st of November at 5:47 a.m. And that's Pacific time. So there was two things that really stood out. The big one, I guess, would be that both Mars as well as Pluto are in opposition to each other, but not only in opposition, but they're at that critical anorectic degree of 29 degrees in their respective signs. And so this says something big is coming to a culmination. And certainly Mars opposition Pluto can bring in sort of malefic type energy. We can expect, I would say, some real underhanded things being done. But also them being exposed, right? Don't forget, Pluto is all about revealing the truth. There could even be an involvement of the military here. But certainly that whole confrontation of the old, right? That has to go. Remember that we have Pluto still at that 29 degrees of Capricorn. The other thing that stood out for me is that I don't talk about fixed stars that often, but there is a fixed star called Arcturus, and it is at 10 degrees of Scorpio, awfully close to the degree of the new moon. Now, the meaning that is basically given to Arcturus is a leader is seeking a better life for all. And as it links to the sun, right? It gives it even more energy in that type of thing. We have Mercury at 28 degrees of Scorpio will be opposing Uranus in Taurus. So this is unexpected news of some sort coming in. And with that involvement of Scorpio, these tend to be like secrets and things like that, right? We've got a wide square between Venus and a retrograde Saturn. And this just takes things that could be sweet. It just takes the sweetness off it. So it's kind of like dealing with stuff, perhaps dealing with stuff like values. Venus can stand for values. It can stand for money. It can stand for love. Certainly if you have something around these degree points, it could just be a stall in a relationship. Not a permanent one necessarily. Venus also in Sagittarius will oppose Jupiter. And remember, both Venus and Jupiter are benefics, Venus being the lesser benefic and Jupiter being the greater. And with Jupiter in Gemini and Venus in Sagittarius, we're looking here at, again, we're going back to this sort of information coming out. Here, I think this stands for Venus in the sense of women. And we could have this big sort of energy with regards to information coming out about women and the future of our women, right? Maybe even some legal aspects around this too, because both Jupiter and Sagittarius stand for the legal profession, amongst other things too, right? Now, the moon and the sun themselves in Scorpio have a wide trine to Saturn. And so this is a positive thing. This is, people working together to bring in rules, regulations, that type of thing, right? Jupiter nicely trines Chiron. And I think this is excellent too. Chiron's all about sort of healing type energy, and Jupiter's about putting a focus or opening that up in a positive way with the trine. We have a grand trine, and that occurs in water signs. we have Mars in Cancer, we have Mercury, as well as Neptune. And this is a beautiful energy. So, this is kind of like with the Mars part of it, bringing in this beautiful energy of let's move forward with some of these things. I get this feeling of optimism with this, especially with the Neptune bringing in inspiration. It's almost like I get this big rise up of, I think it's the people um, being optimistic and inspired in a very high way, in a global way. And then, of course, we do have Uranus sextiling Neptune. That's kind of an ongoing thing as they go retrograde and go direct. And that I view as opportunities to express your spirituality, to be inspired. It can also, if you've got these sort of degree points, so we're looking at the latter degrees of both Pisces and Taurus. This can bring in some opportunities for beautiful music, writing beautiful music, dance, even something to do with the film industry as well. All right, so that new moon in Scorpio definitely is active for us, right? Now, I know that we've got the election in the USA on the 5th of November. There are a lot of astrologers that have covered this. I'm not going to do a lot of detail on this. My view is that it's really the inauguration that's going to show who is going to be uh, the president as well as the vice president of the USA. And so that's going to be in my January prediction. But I will just say a few things about the 5th of November. I looked the 5th of November at around 8 p.m. Pacific. That's kind of when a lot of the polls will have closed. And we have Mercury as well as Venus in positive, outgoing Sagittarius. So these are positive messages, right? And perhaps positive messages being delivered by a woman. We have Mercury in Sagittarius and its trine that Mars in Cancer. Well, actually, Mars is not in Cancer at that time. It's just out of Cancer, but it's still in a trine with Mercury because Mars is at 0 degrees of Leo. Now, we're still going to have that Mars opposing Pluto at this time. It's all within orb, right? A few degrees. And so this emphasized that whole ruthlessness, along with culminating energies of that 29-degree mark of Pluto, right? We also have the moon is going to be in, I would say, conservative, stable Capricorn. And so I see that as a stabilizing factor with regards to this can represent the people being conservative and not being fired up, that type of thing. But don't forget that Mars opposing Pluto is pretty powerful too. So we have on the 7th November, we have transiting Mercury is going to be at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And of course, that is going to be indicating it's now in shadow. And it will be trining the North Node in Aries. This is excellent. So this says to me that that whole Mercury retrograde, which starts which starts on the 26th of November and ends on the 15th, is very much going to be involved with our destiny path, right? So this is going to be some kind of behind the scenes look in that Mercury retrograde period. So now we're going to be going up to look at that full moon in Taurus. And this is also a very powerful moon too. It is going to be at 24 Taurus 0 minutes on the 15th of November at 1:28 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this same day, the 15th of November, we're also going to have Saturn going direct at 12 Pisces 41 minutes. So this is significant. This says to me some move forward with regards to those old institutions. Saturn many times can refer to the old, right? Can also refer to karma. But I see this as this Saturn going direct, that it's a new step in a new direction, um, with our rules, with our regulations, with our institutions. There's a turn here, right? There's an ending with this full moon. Significantly, this moon conjuncts Uranus. And so this does indicate some kind of unexpected events happening, perhaps with the people. Maybe some protests of some sort may happen here. If you have this around in your chart, so this would be 24 Taurus, there may be some sudden upsets for you around this time. Now, sometimes these upsets can go in a positive way, not necessarily a negative way. Certainly, if you're waiting and wanting something to end or to culminate, or you want to move on from something, this full moon could give you that energy with Uranus conjunct it. We have the moon in a wide sextile with Neptune, and then the moon also has a wide trine with Pluto. And again, to me, this is tying in the people and truth coming out, but also a lot of inspiration around the people at this time. And we have Mercury in Sagittarius will be trining Chiron. And that's just bringing positive messages for healing. Mars now in Leo has a wide trine to the North Node, but so this also indicates some forward movement with regards to our destiny path. But we still have at this time, even though it's moved on from the new moon in Scorpio, this full moon within orb still has that Mars, now in Leo, opposing Pluto in Capricorn. I'm going to say happy birthday to my daughter Allison. She was born on this day. So hopefully there's something positive that'll be wrapping up for her. Happy birthday. So when we move on to the 20th of November, wow, this is significant. Pluto will be at 0 degrees and some minutes of Aquarius. So this is pretty monumental in the sense that in the first time in our lifetime, we are going to have Pluto now in Aquarius for the next 20 years or so. And I've done a whole video on this. If you want to know more about it, see the link below. But this is really positive. And certainly for those Aquarians listening or watching this, lots of change ahead for you, lots of transformation. And don't think transformation has to be negative, right? But certainly for the people, if we generalize Aquarius to the people, this is big change ahead for us as humanity in all our respective countries, right? On the 22nd of November, we have that sun goes into positive, optimistic Sagittarius. And certainly for those folks that are viewers or clients that are Sagittarians, this is the start of your part of the year that celebrates you, Sagittarius. The 26th of November, we have the Mercury retrograde starting at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So this Mercury retrograde will stay in Sagittarius. It does go back into the latter degrees, around 6 degrees of Sagittarius. On the 15th of December, it'll be going forward again. And I think this could bring in a number of things. Sagittarius can stand for anything foreign. So this will be negotiations behind the scenes, discussions behind the scenes with foreign nations, foreign people. It also represents the law. And so there could also be behind the scenes things done regarding the law during that Mercury retrograde period too. I've spoken about this a few times, this Mercury retrograde. It does hark back to the Mercury retrograde that started last year in 2023, that ended the beginning days of January 2024, so that's this year. It began its direct motion at that 22 degrees of Sagittarius, which is where the retrograde starts this time round. So there's some connection in with that period of time too. So that would be the latter part of December 2023 and that first few days of January 2024. All right, what about December? Let's give you a little peek in December. So, Sagittarius, you have your new moon at 9 Sagittarius. We're going to have a full moon at 23 degrees of Gemini. Um, and there will be two new moons in December, but in particular, Capricorn, you have your second new moon of the year at 9 Capricorn on the 30th of December this year. So pay attention to things that come in, especially new things at this time. And it's right like at that whole time period, right of the new year. Mars will be retrograde at that time. And Mercury will also be going direct mid-December. All right, folks. Now, what I'd like to do is to go on and look at the individual ascendants and or sun signs you pick. It might be a good idea to listen to or watch both your sun sign as well as your ascendant. For Leo, so Leo, you've got two squares happening this month. It just means some challenges, doesn't mean you can't get over them. But you also have a nice trine. So let's start off with the first square. So Leo, that new moon in Scorpio squares your fourth house. And this says to me that new start that you want to have happen with regards to your family, your mother, real estate, buying, selling a home is going to have a little bit of a challenge there. It can also be, say, you want to remodel your home and you have to consider other things, right? Maybe you don't have enough money to do that remodeling job and you've got this in your head that you want to do all this and you realize it's going to cost more than you thought. That could be the challenge. For others, it might just be family issues that come up. Now, with Scorpio, this tends to be secrets. It can be deep feelings about stuff, right? And so try to take that 10,000-foot view. If there are some Leos that have to deal with family matters, squares, and you just need to work outside the box, work with family members to make sure everybody's included. And don't keep things hidden. I mean, that Scorpio tendency is going to be to keep things hidden. But the square says, no, don't do it. It's not going to favor you if you do that. Others may just be stymied about buying a home or selling a home or remodeling their home, like I said. And now's not the time that you have to maybe fall in with rules and regulations, or your family is taking up more of your time than you thought. And you have to put more effort into that. Scorpio is also a psychological sign. So there could be that, some people in your family need to be propped up psychologically, right? Where you have to deal with them on that sense, right? Be patient and be kind is what I say. Now that full moon in Taurus also squares you, but now it's the 10th house. So there's some kind of culmination going on here with regards to some Leos regarding their career. Now this could play out favorably too. It may be that this square represents you having to work hard outside the box, put lots of effort into some maybe project of some sort, that at this full moon, poof, it comes into a culmination thing. You say, wow, all that energy I put into my career or that project, it ends and I actually am awarded the contract. Now that can happen. It certainly can happen. It's just with the square, it's not going to be straightforward. Others, it could be that you want to climb that ladder, that corporate ladder, and you realize you're missing this skill or that skill, or you have to work with this person to get to that place, that type of thing. Always work outside the box, think outside the box with regards to squares. For others, some Leos may just make the decision, this is just too much work. All the effort I'm putting in here is just not worth it. And it's at this full moon. Maybe you don't end your job at the full moon, but you decide it's just not worth the effort anymore. And that's okay if you've carefully considered things and you've got an option that's maybe better for you. That may be the right decision to make here. For others, it could also mean just, working hard. You can't get out of working hard at work. Don't forget, these things do pass. Now, nicely, you do have a trine with that Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius because that's a fellow fire sign. That's beautiful. That trine could bring in for you negotiations, for instance, or messaging back and forth with regards to a fabulous creative project. It could be for some Leos setting up your own business. Now, it's not when you're going to pull the trigger to start your own business, it's all that work that goes behind the scenes to get your own business going. For others, this could have you connecting with a love of some sort, but it could be sort of missed communications. Literally, it could be you miss a communication about someone that has to do with a new love in your life. Children can be brought into the picture here too. Now, don't forget, this is a trine, so this is just beaming favorable energy with regards to children. Maybe you're having to work behind the scenes with, say, one of your child's teachers or schools, and it all starts coming together for you at this Mercury retrograde, where positive signs come forward for the future of your child or your children. This is also you deciding to say, look, we got to have more fun here, right? The fifth house can represent fun. And you working with maybe family members or friends to plan more fun events, maybe fun events over the whole time period of the Christmas time period, the New Year's time period, right? Because don't forget the Mercury retrograde is from the 26th of November to the 15th of December. Take care, Leo. All right, folks. Well, that's what I've got to say for November 2024. It's a pretty powerful month of big change. I'm wishing everybody all the best. And for those folks that are in the USA, happy Thanksgiving. And then, of course, we've got Christmas after that. So that'll be my next video. I will be doing my December video. I'm also still in the planning stages of doing a live, like I did last year, a live podcast of some sort, as well as video, so that I can go over my idea of what 2025 is for each of you individually. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe and sign up, hit that bell, because then you get notified anytime I announce, say, something like my live forecast. And you can be on there and talk back and forth with me live. I love doing that type of thing. So stay tuned for that. Please take good care of yourself. Remember that also the sun will go into Sagittarius on the 22nd of November. And I've always looked forward to, I'm a Sagittarian by sun sign, and I always look forward to that time period because there's always that little boost up of optimism and positiveness when the sun goes in at that time. So there's also that to look forward to in November too. Sending everybody lots of love, lots of optimism, and happy times. Please take care of yourself. Reach out to me if you would like me to do, say, your year ahead forecast. All my contact info is below. Bye for now.